We often talk about how motherhood changed us, but how did it actually prepare us to deal with change?
Whether it's change at work, at home, or other areas of your life, like deep personal change, we like to talk about what we did to get us through and push through these seasons of change. So today we're going to open up and talk about that. We read the books, we bought the things. We thought we were ready. And then life took our plans and changed them. I'm Karen, I'm Victoria's mommy, and I work in tech.
And I'm Pamela. I have a baby boy named Ford, and I'm a journalist. And although we're both first-time working moms, we're actually pretty different.
And that's totally okay. Because we both agree that our most important work is raising our kids. We really need each other and can only get through this together. Welcome to Motherish Moments. Hi, Pam.
Hi, Karen. Welcome back to our studio.
This is a nighttime episode, and I really love nighttime episodes because I always feel like they have that extra pizzazz.
It feels like it should be like little candlelit session, right?
Yeah.
Like
also, we definitely
acoustic, like that.
We need the wine. It's a whole thing. And also, Pamela told me today she was wearing black, and so I was like, okay. We usually don't try to match intentionally, but today I wanted to, so here we are.
Thank you. And I'm cheating because I'm all done up because I rushed from work today.
I'm wearing my emotional protection glasses, so.
I got a little teary when I was writing the intro because I was thinking of all the times that we have dealt with change and adapting to different things, and it's not easy. So I think I got emotional because I became very proud of all the things that we've dealt with. And I think that we should honor that too,
Yeah. Pamela always with the optimistic take. I'm always a little bit more on the neutral side of it, but I love that. And I actually love that about you. And it really helps. It's contagious and I need it. So yeah. Are you ready for your motherish moment?
Yeah, I'll start with my motherish moment of this week. So Ford is now into FaceTiming. When he was very young, I refused to FaceTime, especially when I was traveling, because I realized that it was really very selfish of me, right? To want to see him and see what he was up to. And then he would be confused, like, where are you? Why aren't you not here? He would get he was in his routine. And every time I would FaceTime him, my mom or the nanny would be like, or his dad, hey, you're throwing him off. It's just really affecting him. So I decided to just not FaceTime him when I was away, which is hard, but I'll get the pictures and I would stock on the cameras. But now it's really cute because he'll ask to FaceTime with me. Or when I FaceTime, to talk to him, he picks up and he'll chit chat. But he's so funny because he'll try to hold the FaceTime and you see the double chin, which is so cute at that age.
Yeah. Yes, not now. We try to not do that now.
And he just goes straight to the point. He doesn't like to small talk.
Yeah.
He's being a very efficient FaceTimer. And then when he's ready to hang up, he's like, okay, mom, can I press the red button? I'm always like, why do you hang up so fast? Am I here trying to engage with him? But it's really cute. It's really cute. And I think some kids, even at his age, already have a little iPad or a tablet they use to FaceTime. And I don't know if we're there yet. I still need someone to hold the phone and kind of dial for me.
Yeah.
Even though Santa FaceTimed him this morning.
What?
I know, it was really cute.
What?
I know, through an app, guys, through an app. And it allows you to record his reaction.
It wasn't at first a phone call. Now, 2 years ago, it was a phone call. Now he FaceTimes?
It's a FaceTime.
Is it AI?
So you set it up. And
is it the real Santa?
It is the real Santa, obviously.
Can you call me?
For everyone listening to this in the car with your little ones, it is Santa. You set it up, you kind of coordinate it with Santa, and then you put the phone down, unlocked, and he calls. And I go, oh my God.
I'm freaking out.
Thing. I know, I'm going to share. I don't think I have the premium package. I don't know if I could share the video.
Pay for that, subscribe.
So, he FaceTimed me and he FaceTimed Santa. That's my mother's moment of the week. It was so cute. His reaction is so funny. He's like, oh my goodness, Santa is FaceTiming me. And of course, he has a very demanding message. Hey, I'm looking. The message was, I'm in the factory trying to confirm what you want. But in the meantime,
Santa's on a mission.
In the meantime, remember to behave and listen to your parents, be nice to your friends. So it was really nice.
Nice.
Thank you to Santa who FaceTimed us.
I love that.
This morning.
So my motherish moment is just like one more way in which Victoria is a very different girl than I ever was, and how much I love that. So she's been spending a lot of time, with my parents and with my dad. They have this thing after school where they will go out and fish in the backyard, and
so cute.
She's so into it. She still, I felt like at some point she would grow out of this stage and be a little more like girly or just like a normal human being that doesn't like bugs, like me. But no, she still picks up lizards and touches the fish and doesn't have and it really grosses me out. And so now she's at the point where she's teasing me about it. She'll be peeing in the bathroom and she's like, "Mama, hay una cucaracha." And I'm like, "Good luck. Bye, I'm not going." And she's like, "Just come. They're not going to do anything to you." And I'm like, "Why are you bullying me?" My child is bullying me.
But you have a little bit of an outdoorsy feel vibe to it. No?
No.
This is just
no,
it's just the colors. It's
I
just
outdoor
toes.
aesthetic. Okay. I'll touch leaves. I'll go hiking, but I'm not going to touch an animal.
Okay.
It's just a whole other level. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, so she's so outdoorsy and she's so todo terreno, and I love that. And she's still, I thought that she was going to grow out of it, but she's still in it, and I think that part is super fun. And
I love that. I think it makes an extra cool girl.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah,
she's
I love
cool.
that.
She's cool.
By the way, there's an amazing bugs exhibition.
Oh yeah, at the
Frost Museum here in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I took Ford, and it's really
You already
cool.
went?
I already went.
Oh my God, it just opened.
I mean, I don't know what to do with him sometimes. The museum, I'm a member, every museum,
yeah,
my go-to.
You're here's my membership.
I know. I'm always trying to invite everyone to hey, you could come with me, and
Yeah.
So, by the way, yeah, we should just take
go.
Victoria.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we need to do more play dates. By the way, I think that's my goal for 2025.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Okay,
I'm here for it.
So let's dive deep into this change topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of reminiscing because I feel every season, even if we don't see it or consider it a big change, I think there is some. It's part of
we
life,
evolve.
Evolution,
we evolve.
changing, adapting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's this video that's super viral, and I wish I knew exactly who posted it because I want to give credit to the person. I think it was someone as a guest in some podcast. I mean, it isn't anything elaborate.
Yeah.
The line was literally, whatever you're not changing, you're choosing.
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
Right? You saw that.
Yeah.
And it was very dramatic. Change,
It was in black and white.
Yeah, it was
I know,
black and white.
I know, I've seen it.
One of the effect black and white video has on you. Don't let that trick you. It's just a simple video.
Anything you say, put it in black and white, and it's so dramatic.
Yeah, and then you add a little drama music. But it really spoke to me. It's true. Whatever you're not changing, you're choosing every single day, every time you do it, every time you're okay with it. And then sometimes it takes a lot of courage to make a decision and change. So when I was thinking about the topic for this episode, I think we've agreed that motherhood does change you.
Yeah.
Physically, emotionally, you become a different person, or you kind of view things differently. But I was thinking, did it really prepare me for change? And I feel like it made it a little bit harder because now you're thinking about my son and myself, right? You're considering that whatever you're going to change, whether it's at work, whether it's personal, whether it's, I don't know, every decision now involves someone else.
I would counter that. I think that's true. So maybe not counter, but I would add to that at the same time that it makes you feel that way, it also gives you a lot more courage. And you have more reason to do things if you feel strongly enough about them, because they become the reason that you get the courage to do things that maybe are overwhelmingly difficult that you never imagined you could do.
I guess that's one way to look at it. I think a lot of people get paralyzed by fear when they think about their kids. And they're
course,
oh, I'm not doing this, or I'm not.
Yeah, no.
Because, I don't want to change the pattern or change something for my child. But you're right. At the end of the day, and it goes back to our theme about putting the oxygen, taking care of yourself before you, making a decision. So during I want to say fall, I attended this seminar, and I wanted to share this experience because I really think it prepared me to deal with change. So it's one of those like, it's actually emotional intelligence for leaders. It's 2 weekends. It's a 2-weekend commitment. And I was kind of fighting it for a while, for many years actually, that I had heard about it. Because, we're always like, we don't have time at 2 weekends. Like you have to be away from, coordinate the logistics of like, who's going to watch Ford, getting the days off from work. But you know what? At some point, I don't know what spoke to me. And I was like, I'm doing this for myself. I put it in my agenda, my calendar, like it was like a wedding. I'm like, okay, these 2 weekends, no matter what happens, I am committed to this. I had already paid for it. So I'm like,
that's one way to commit.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's true.
It's true.
So I had paid for it and I was like, okay, I'm doing this. I remember like one of my best friends' baby shower was one of the weekends and I couldn't, and after the first weekend, it was all about like making the right choice, having the courage to make the choices that lead to change. And I think you do have to put work into it. Like I've been obviously going to therapy and getting work and all that, but there is a science behind preparing for that and understanding how you react to things, what you control, what you cannot control, and just being conscious of that and being disciplined about how you train yourself to deal with that. I found it very, very helpful. And for me, it was life-changing. Like this is experience about like, I don't want to obviously reveal like some of the exercises if anyone wants to go to this. But I think anything for self-growth, I think it's important. And I really felt like a different person afterwards. Like I really felt like more ready for it.
Yeah. So I know that I'm really nervous today. Just going to be very honest with you guys. I've never been nervous on a Motherish episode. So this is a first for me. But, we stopped doing our podcast in the summer. We kind of disappeared out of nowhere. It was my asking. So I called Pamela one day and I said, hey, Pamela, this is going on. And I can't bring myself the way that I like to bring myself to this podcast every week right now. Because, and for those of you who have been loyal listeners for a very long time, that I hope that I've always tried to bring my most authentic self here, quote unquote, hot mess. I always like to do that. And I always like to speak openly and without fear of judgment, and anything. And so this summer, I was going through a lot and I couldn't do that for a lot of reasons. One, because it wasn't good for me. And I also wanted to protect, the situation that I was, going through. But I do feel like it's important to communicate and just share some of the stuff that happened, all with the most important filter of all, which is a filter that I put in for anything that I do online, whether it's this podcast or anything I do on social media. And that filter is, knowing that one day Victoria might hear this, right? If she wants to. She might be like, Mom, no thanks. And so with that said, and with this topic of change and having to go through change, this year I did go through a very big change. And that change was making the decision of ending my relationship. And it is the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. It was not a straight line. It was very rocky. For me, it's hard all around. But it was hard in my walk, in my experience, because I was the one making the decision, and that carries so much guilt tied to it. Guilt because of the pain that you know that you will cause an entire ecosystem of people around you. But ultimately, I felt that I needed it for myself to be a better person, to be a better mom. Because, one thing that does happen with motherhood, I think, is that your child or your children become your true north. They are your North Star. They are the guide. Yeah. And I wanted to be the best version I could be for her. And so I needed to make some changes. That, happened. And then, there's that quote of...
How are you now? How are you today? How's Karen today?
I think I'm still very much in a stage of grief. I actually wrote something and I shared it on my birthday about the things that I've learned through enduring a season of grief, because previously I had only associated grief with death, right? Someone dies and you have grief. But actually, I think the end of a relationship, you also could experience grief. You could experience grief when your life is turning out differently than what you expected. You can experience grief when you thought you would be at some place at a certain age in your life and you're not. There's many ways in which grief can present itself. And so right now I think I'm still there. And obviously I try to present myself in I am a genuinely like optimistic person, and I'm a very positive person, but I have so many moments,
of course, which is normal, and I meant to ask a question with how are you today and how could I support you? I think I learned to be empathetic. And I always said this, and the line that you use, which is grief, I think like the one time I've never been that open about like my divorce and my marriage. But the one time that they speak, I think the one line that I use, which is the one that I also had heard, was like, it's like going to a funeral, but no one died. It's like that sense of like grieving the idea of what you thought was going to be the ending of something, or like you happy ending, and it ended up, and especially when you make a decision, I think it's a lot of pressure, a lot of guilt, and it takes time.
Yeah.
Thank
you for saying, how you can support me. The truth is that you have been incredibly supportive, and you have been non-judgmental and, very open you've been someone that I could speak to freely. And so I really appreciate that. I think that,
and again, there's always a sense of like, can I do more? But I know that this is a season where there's only so much you could do, and just like show grace and space and time, and be like, whenever you want to talk, I'm here. Whenever you don't, again, same thing with the mics, right? Whenever you want to talk, great. If not, like, it's okay. Like people have different approaches. And I know that your purpose with sharing this update is to like be authentic and be real, which is what you have been throughout these 4 years with the podcast. And also because it is going to be part of the conversation, right?
Yeah,
there is like an elephant in the room.
Yeah, all while being very, and I want to make this super clear, all while being very respectful to Juan. He is someone that I care about very deeply. He is still my family. He is my daughter's father, and that will never change. But right now I'm in the process of rebuilding myself, and that has been hard. It's very hard.
I mean, it's still fairly new, right?
It's very new.
And like you want to give yourself again grace and time.
It also feels like this summer at one point I was like, am I being punked? Like,
I know.
The month of August was insane. I was dealing with going through this process, but also within a span of 2 weeks, I had to put my dog down. So Sebas, 15 and a half, just had to put him down. And for those of you who have had a pet for a long time, you know that you're never ready. It always is going to suck. And so that was brutal. And then literally within a week or 10 days, I was driving by myself and I got into a car accident. A giant, like a pickup truck T-boned my passenger side of the car. Thank God I was alone, but it was that moment for me, I was on the phone on speaker with 911. I had gotten out of my car and I was like, I had airbag burns on my hand and on my leg. And I was bleeding from like a cut on my knee. And I was just looking at the scene and I was like, are we done? Like, is this it? Is this rock bottom? Because can we stop now?
I know.
I do want to give a very important shout out to my parents, because they took me in pieces, and have really given me so much support to help me get on this process of putting myself back together. You know, a lot of people, one of the things that I think is really interesting is that people say a lot to me and during this time, people that have been close and they know, oh, you're so strong. You're so strong. And like, I've gotten to really hate that because it's exhausting to try to hold it together all the time. And so I've become very selective around the people that I actually like open and let go of those pieces that are not fully broken now, but on their way to coming back together in a new way. I've had to become so careful with my space and who I really let in. There's the, you know, Instagram version of me who tries weird creamers and loves pumpkin spice, who is the real me. But it's a piece, you know, it's a piece of me. But anyway.
And during this process, and you're right, I feel like sometimes there's a sense of even guilt being like, okay, but am I supposed to be like, okay, like this, okay, in this moment, fine. Right? Am I supposed to be like this funny and this? And yes, there's going to be highs and lows. And I remember someone told me this and I was like, and then I'm like, yes, they're right. When they're like, look, it's going to feel like a Hurricane 5. Like you're in the middle of the hurricane and there's going to be a lot of like crazy crap going on when you're like thinking, okay, is this a joke? Like, what else? Like bring it on, what else? But then at some point, like it's like a hurricane, like it washes and it takes away in a very aggressive way. And I know it sounds, you know, maybe cliche to say, but like a hurricane, it washes everything off and then whatever needs to stay will stay. Yeah. And the calm will come. Yeah. And I know sometimes it seems like very far for that moment. But again, going back to the topic of change, it does feel like that sometimes when it's just like, okay, it's like a Hurricane 5 and you're in the middle of it. And I remember like for me, prayer became obviously my go-to safe space because I didn't know what else to do, right? I was like, my whole life was changing. Like my whole, literally like they pick me up and they go, this is your new life. Here we go. Like literally physically, like new house, new thing, new everything, new change. And it's hard. Like change is really hard. Looking back at it now, right? Now that it's been like 5 years, like almost like down the line, everything that had to be gone was gone. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen again. There's been obviously continue, you know, different seasons of change and like rocky moments. But now I know how to deal with it better. Yeah. Now I know that like nothing lasts forever and that at some point it's going to calm down. Yeah. And now you're right. Now I'm more motivated and maybe I have to learn from you in that sense. Sometimes I don't think about Ford. I'm like, oh, I tolerate some things that I don't set boundaries. And I need to start thinking about him, especially at this age, because he picks up on things. He picks up on my energy. Yeah. Like, I don't even have to say anything. And the other day I was driving and I was like kind of upset and I had my glasses on. He goes, turn around. I was like, what? Turn around. Because I was driving and I kind of turn around like to see him in his car. So he goes, let me see your eyes. Oh, yeah. And I lifted my glass and I was crying a little bit. And he's like, are you crying? I go, yeah, I'm crying, baby, but it's okay. Yeah. Like, it's okay. I'm crying. I'm upset about something, but you know, let me cry. Let me have my moment. But again, he could only sense it, I guess, from my energy, like my tone, attitude. They're very perceptive. So I am being more responsible with my decisions and thinking about Ford, which I didn't do before because I kept minimizing him as a person. I was like, oh, he's just a baby. He's this, whatever. And now it's like, no, I gotta be more firm with him, you know? Yeah. That part is pretty brutal too of, you know, having a child who is aware of her surroundings in this process and trying to find the best way to talk to her and to be there for her and explain the changes in an age appropriate way. All of that has been hard. And I think... but I'm happy you also have building slowly your own village for her, for you, like... Yeah. Whatever that may look like. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's family, if it's like... Yeah. Professionals, even if it's like the space, whatever it is, I think you have been very proactive. About that. And there's something that you said earlier where sometimes I like... really beat myself up over like, what else can I do to protect her and to make her feel okay? And I don't want her to have
any pain. And the thing is that I'm doing the most that I can do within the parameters of what I think is okay to do. And at some point, and this is something my therapist has said to me many times, in this specific situation, her pain is inevitable. And anytime that a parent is in a situation where you know that your child's pain is not, it's inevitable given the decision that I took, just want to make that real clear, but it's part of it. And in the long run, I think it's the best thing. I am now entering a stage where I'm starting to regain my optimism. And that's something that for most of the summer, I couldn't see beyond the day that I was living that day.
But also don't force yourself.
No,
right?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. I was very, I allowed myself the space to be non-committal with anything and everyone who wrote to me about anything. I gave myself the space to not answer if I couldn't. I was very, very protective about it.
And then on top of that, you started a new job.
I just started a new job now
with a new feel, and
totally out of very.
So talk about change.
Yeah. So I have a new job now. I work for a baseball team. Ask me anything about baseball. I do not have the answers. They're fully aware. But yeah, I work for the Miami Marlins, which is very cool. It's very out of left field for me, but I think it's very healthy for me right now to be in a challenge like that. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I'm happy that I'm starting to, it's almost like there's a little crack in the ceiling where light is coming through. And in that light are a lot of hopes and dreams that I have for myself, which for most of this year, I didn't have any at all. So that part is super exciting. And I laugh so much more with Victoria now. And that was so much of it. I was losing the mom that I wanted to be and the mom that I knew I could be with her. And now the days that I have her, which is brutal to not have her, certain days, at the same time, I'm so happy about the relationship she has with her dad right now. I'm so happy about it. But when I am with her, I'm so much lighter. Yeah. And we have fun and we laugh. Obviously, I still, discipline and I educate and I do all the necessary things. But I am lighter with her. And that is what I hoped would happen. But yeah, 2024 is rough.
But again, it's the shifting of things changing. It's setting you up for 2025, right? We're in this.
I set no expectations for years anymore.
But I'm saying it's definitely and again, point. I always I look back and I'm like, oh my God. Now that I want to laugh because I remember there was moments, and I've shared this, I think, my religious testimony, right? My spiritual journey for me was one of those days, I'm sure you have one of those afternoons where you're I can't anymore. I can't take another surprise or change or and I remember I was pregnant at that point. I was in my closet. I know it sounds very dramatic, but and I remember I was holding my belly and I was crying and I was kneeling down and I just started praying. Mm-hmm. Started praying please God, I can't, please, whatever it is, I'm turning this battle over to you and you handle whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to trust you because I physically felt like I couldn't. I was very pregnant at that point. And he spoke very clearly to me. I know I never say this, but I heard he's you're going to be fine. He's mm-hmm. Get up. Yeah. Get up. I got you. Mm-hmm. And he's never failed me. Yeah. I remember that day I got up and it was some win happened mm-hmm. or something happened where I was mm-hmm. I knew that I was going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And again, whatever you want to call that, for me, it was before and after, also after that experience. And I just trusted. And in my heart, I was at peace. Yeah. And that's what I wanted because I didn't have peace. Yeah. I was very scared. Mm-hmm. I was very nervous. I was very hormonal. I was pregnant. I was going through a lot. And I wanted to rely on people, right? When you're going through all this, you want to have someone that's you just want to, but then you realize, okay, it's on you. A lot of the things is on you, it's on your time. Yeah. And in my case, I'm just Jesus, Lord, please
Yeah.
get me fixes.
Yeah.
And he did, you know? So for me, it was a big shift, you know, in my state of being, in my mental health, when I was just like, I surrendered. I was like, okay, I believed in my heart. Whatever that looks like, you have to believe that it's going to be fine, because it will be fine.
One of the things that really left a mark on me is in one of my therapy sessions, shout out to Fatima again.
This is sponsored by, no, just kidding. It's not. It's not, but yes.
We talked about how suffering is the act of resisting pain. And so she says, people try to, I mean, she didn't make this up. She read this somewhere, whatever. I don't know. She was educated with this. But she says that, you know, a lot of times we try to live our life avoiding pain, and that pain is an unavoidable part of life. And so rather, when we resist pain and we try to go against it, we cause ourselves to suffer.
We hurt ourselves more.
And yeah. And so a lot of the recommendations that she gave me this summer was to spend unstructured time by myself, because I was your typical overscheduler, over everything, overcompensating everywhere you looked for everyone else.
Over-pleasing
in order to not feel. And so she would push me to say unstructured, alone time. Don't try to cover it with stuff. Just be with your thoughts. And so what came out of that for me was writing. I ended up doing a lot of writing this summer, all kinds of writing. I have a million documents in my Google Docs, which hopefully never gets hacked into. You're not going to work for that one. But I have so much writing of different things that I felt and different, you know, things that I was going through. And sometimes it would just hit me out of nowhere, and I would just start, you know, writing down, processing things from my childhood, things. I mean, there was a lot of that this summer too. Woo, a lot.
A lot of unpacking.
A lot of unpacking, because you find correlations.
Of course, 100%. Every time,
you know,
we go through something like this, or we see something in our kids, we like have to really,
go
back.
Child therapist explained to me that anytime that a child goes through a major event, they will analyze that event multiple times over and over throughout their lives, right? So if your parents have some sort of conflict, you will analyze it, you know, when you're 5, you will analyze it again when you're 10 and you start having your own personal relationships. You'll analyze it again when you're 18 and you think that you're an adult. And then when you're in your 20s, and then when you're in your, you will always go back.
There was this therapist, really quick before we end, that I saw this summer. And one of the main things she said was, okay, the things that you're tolerating, or the boundaries that you're not setting, like, why don't we figure out why you're doing that? Like, who did that to you when you were a child, or what did you put up with, or what were you okay with? Because that's what you're repeating, right? So we had to see why you're repeating it. And so I was like, ooh, okay. But once again, thank you for sharing, for opening up, for being honest. We're going to continue this conversation. This is like a safe space, of course.
Yeah.
I love you so much.
I love you.
I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
Because I know it's not easy, right? It's not easy. Yeah. And I wish there was more that I could do. And I think everyone who's around you that loves you wants to do everything that we can. But I know that a lot of it is on you.
Yeah.
You know?
No. And
so
I do want to, first, thank you for being, like I said, as supportive as you have been throughout all of this, and more importantly, non-judgmental with everything. Thank you to the motherish community that has been patiently waiting for us to come back, because now we're back. And nothing, you know, what was that phrase, onward and whatever? I hate these phrases. It's very Americano, and I am Americana. I was born here, but I don't know the phrases onward and upward. I think it's that.
Yes.
Onward and upward. So yeah. And now, instead of just listening to us cry, we get to watch us cry on our new YouTube channel. So we hope you subscribe to that too.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Till next time.
Bye.